Every woman has a secret life. Nikki, a modern daughter of Indian immigrants, has spent most of her 20-odd years distancing herself from the traditional Sikh community of her childhood, preferring a more independent, that is, Western life. When her father's death leaves the family financially strapped, Nikki impulsively takes a job teaching a creative writing course at the community centre in the beating heart of London's close-knit Punjabi community. The proper Sikh widows who show up are expecting to learn English, not short story writing. When one of the widows finds a book of erotica and shares it with the class, Nikki realizes that beneath their white dupattas, her students have a wealth of fantasies and memories they've held in for far too long. Eager to liberate these modest women, she teaches them how to express their untold stories, unleashing creativity of the most unexpected and exciting kind. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to my second book review of the year. So if you did not catch my earlier video, I have given myself a bit of a challenge this year. In 2018, I'm going to try and read 52 books by South Asian authors. And I think I talked about this last week or in my last video, but the reason I'm doing this challenge specifically around South Asian authors is because I'm just really excited about the caliber of work that's coming out in this genre right now, and I find the stories really gripping and interesting, and I can really relate obviously to South Asian characters. So I thought this year I'd put this framework around my reading, and it would be fun at the end of the year to have this collection of reviews and kind of information specific to the diaspora. So I will link to my first video in the description box below, and I'll also link to the bookshelf page on the site where you can read up on other books I've read before I started videos and kind of get an idea of what I've been reading. And you can also find my Goodreads list there for what I'm planning on reading. So anyhow, this week's book, I have to tell you, anywhere I went and anybody I talked to who asked me what I was reading, which included my children, I was a tiny bit embarrassed when I had to tell them that I was reading a book called Erotic Stories for Punjabi Widows. Yeah, it sounds a bit racy, and it a little bit is, but it's a good book, and I'm going to tell you why. But let me tell you first of all, it's written by an author named Balli or Jaswal, and it takes place in Southall in London, England. And I came to this book because I saw it on Twinkle Khanna's Instagram feed, and I'm a big fan of her writing, and I thought, okay, if she's recommending this book, I've got to read it. When I first started reading the book, probably maybe the first quarter, I thought, like, I was actually a tiny bit annoyed. I was thinking, why am I reading this book? Because they described this group of very modest widows who live in Southall, and they only hang out together, and they have their little group at the Gurdwara, and it just felt so old school. Like, I was reading this book thinking, this does not exist anymore. This is things I saw in Hindi movies when I was a kid. Like, nobody treats widows like this anymore. But since I've read the book, I have talked to a few friends who grew up in Southall or maybe lived in England, and I've heard varying perspectives on there might be some truths in that, but that's not for me to say. Once I kind of got past the part about what I felt was really old school treatment and discussion around widows, the book itself has some really powerful revelations about women, like Indian women, and our society in general, how women are treated. And of course, there is this underlying thread of erotic stories. And now, I don't read cheesy romance novels. I've never read a Harlequin. I've heard about them, but these are not erotic stories like you're expecting. Like, they're erotic stories written by BBs. So they're quite funny, and the stories actually connect to the actual underlying theme, which is about women and like women speaking up for their rights, women like just going out on a limb and asking for what they want. But when I started reading the book, I quickly realized that these women's erotic stories were about the most basic pleasures, the most basic needs. It's almost a metaphor for how they can't ask for anything. They don't feel like they can ask for anything they want, whether it's in life, at their jobs, with their husbands, in their most intimate spaces. It's really, at its core, a story just about women deserving to ask for what they want. And outside of that piece, there is an underlying story. There's a story about a young woman trying to find herself, figure out what she wants to do with her life, and somehow, by this crazy turn of events, she ends up becoming the teacher of the BBs in the class, and it's quite humorous underlying, and there's some like very serious themes covered, but it's a great read. In fact, I wish that I could get all my aunties to read this, and I secretly wish I could get my uncles to read it, because I think it would be life-changing for a lot of people. Not a like serious read, not a difficult read. It's actually a great weekend read, like if you just want something to chill out with, but definitely adding to my bookshelf. But I might cover the cover, like I might hide it a little bit so when my mom comes to visit or my kids ask, it doesn't say erotic stories for Punjabi widows on my bookshelf, but definitely adding it to my reading list. And I hope you guys will check it out. Let me know what you think. The next book I'm reading actually on my challenge is called The Reluctant Fundamentalist, and it's by Mohsen Hamid. Looking forward to this one. I have actually got a couple more on my list, but if you have a recommendation for what I should read by a South Asian author this year, please do let me know. I would love to hear from you. And I will be linking below to my blog, which I'd love for you to check out, and social handles. And of course, as always, since you're here and if you're interested in hearing more about the books I read, please do subscribe to the channel, and I will see you soon.